Let's talk about your values. Your values. Who wants to start?
Okay, yeah, because you already turned the camera to my side. For me, the most important thing is that no one or nothing is getting harmed by your actions. That's a value. I feel like you can do anything as long as you are not harming others. It could be environment, it could be animals, it could be other human beings. Like if your actions directly or indirectly involve exploitation of any of these things, then that's like against my value. And then of course there are a lot of subtopics, but this is like on top for me. Of course I still sometimes unintentionally, you don't know, and your actions might be harming any of these, and especially it happens a lot in case of environment. You're using something and you have no idea how it could have impacted someone. Like for instance, I remember there was this deodorant and it said something like vegan or animal friendly, and we were laughing like, come on, it's a deodorant. But then we realized that they test it on animals who kind of suffer. So it's just an example that sometimes you don't know, but what you're buying or you're supporting could be dangerous for someone else.
Just one?
No, as I said, like that's kind of on top, and then of course integrity and a lot of those come, but those are somehow indirectly connected to it, because if you are not an honest or person, most of the times your lies are not going to hurt yourself, but they are going to hurt others, which again, as I said, your actions hurting others. So that's why I put it on top. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, my values are like integrity. I like to feel light. So like no secrets or nothing, and being as fair as you can. No cheating. Okay, you want me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep continuing.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of words for an introvert already, but yeah. Yeah, okay, now I have to think. Yeah, for me, like cheating, I mean, or what is the opposite of cheating? Oh, it's being honest. Or being...
Revelation.
Yeah.
Integrity.
Integrity, like, because I already mentioned it, those are kind of the top values. And then love, as per my understanding, love is a value, and respect, it's very important. I feel that you always don't have to agree with the other person. You are not bound to, you don't even have to make an effort to understand, but the least you can do is to have respect for the opinions that are different to yours.
What else?
Okay, what else are my values? I think that's my core values are these, like I already mentioned. But hardworking is more like a skill than a value. I don't know what you label under values, but for me the core value, as I said, is not harming anyone else, including environment or plants, trees, whatever.
Are you a vegetarian?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. And do you know a lot of people with the same values in Pakistan?
When it comes to vegetarianism?
Yeah.
No. People always make fun of me there. They call me things like goat and sheep. I never minded. I got used to it. I got used to it, but yeah, it's not common at all in Pakistan. I think it also comes from religion, because religions have taught men that they are the most superior, and everything else is there for them to enjoy and consume. And humans, with sometimes their little brains, they kind of misinterpret it and start to exploit things, then benefit from them. So yeah, it's not at all common in Pakistan. I haven't been a vegetarian all my life, to be honest. It's been more than a year now, and I hope I can stick to it.
And what is your attitude towards people who don't share your values?
I love diversity, So I'm totally fine with it as long as they respect my opinions. I mean, I'm never the person who would kind of argue back or shout back, even if the other party does. I am naturally a very calm person. But it's totally okay for me. You know, I think one of the things that has made our world beautiful is the diversity of opinions. I appreciate when people are thoughtful about their actions, but I don't expect them to have the same values as mine. And
like respect, integrity, love.
yeah, I might choose not to be friends with them, but yeah, as naturally, you know, as they say, like birds of a feather flock together. So I won't fly together with them, but I won't necessarily consider them as bad person, because again, good and bad is relative. What is bad for me might not be bad for someone else. So I try to keep my judgments to my own self. I have these criteria in which I put my own self, like what I am doing, and I try not to pass other people through the same microscope or whatever, because yeah, like I said, because unconsciously maybe I'm also doing something that's having a negative impact, so I don't feel like I'm in a position to judge others.
Great, great.
Can I just before, because that's
Of course.
it's uncanny how close we are in thinking, or I was thinking like her. So if I was pretty omnitolerant, as long as you weren't like shitting in my yard, and I mean, I didn't like things, and sometimes I took a person that was mobbed or out and created some space for them and actually reinstated their integrity when I could. But I wasn't somebody who would be publicly outspoken or would even attack somebody who did something harmful to somebody or something, unless it was a child, which had happened sometimes. In Austria it happened a couple of times, and parents beat the child, a very young child, who was definitely not at fault in the two. Or some animal was treated in a very bad way, then I would interfere. However, this has changed. I'm much older now. I've seen all the damage that was done by many, many people in positions of power they couldn't handle. When lives were destroyed, when people were seriously harmed. And these people, let's just say, don't get anywhere within a couple of meters of me. So it's a bit different from Saba, because I've seen so much of that. I'm in absolute and utter fight mode if you are like this, and I will smell the bullshit from across 200 meters away, in most cases. If it's a really good psychopath, and some of them are really good at pretending that they're something they're not, it will take me a while, but it's never been more than 2 weeks. And once I spot you, you better run, because I get instantly so aggressive. You are in danger. Because I come from a family where we have the hardcore empaths. That's more natural in my inclination. But I have a basic predator build. And I can be a predator. I couldn't be actually up until a few years ago, but at some point it got so extreme. I had to fight so hard that, unfortunately for you, for the people who tried to wipe out all the good and the authentic niceness in me, that this predator gene, or whatever it was, got reactivated. In a sense of some deformed remnants of it, but unfortunately for you, it just got activated for these assholes. So now if I spot one of you, you just better not go anywhere close to me. Because I switch flips,
Okay.
and I will kick your ass. So, but other than that, the values are the same, and of course we all want to be happy, smiley, and the good hippies, basically. And now on to the beautiful heart of Christina.
It's clear, but as for your values.
Yes, my values are pretty much the same as Saba's, with one exception, and that is I will get nasty if your values are diametrically opposed, in a sense of that I see you hurt other people animals, and yeah, or just any kind of living thing that can feel pain. Basically.
Okay, the same values.
Yeah, but I agree to because I didn't think of such extreme scenarios which Anima is referring to. As they say, like if you're staying silent in cases where there is oppression, then you're actually supporting the oppressor. And of course, in those values, it's not about a question whether you think you're bad or not. It's like clearly out there. If you think, for example, what is happening in Palestine, in Syria, or where there are wars, there's like a clear, aside. So in those cases, it's important to tell the other person that what they are doing is not right. And okay, these were like very nice way to say you're not doing right, but
interrupt, interfere.
Yeah, you have to stop them. Yes,
exactly. Good people don't always have to have it. There's also this concept of you have to be, if you're really good and if you're really authentically good and spiritual, you're going to be zen and relaxed all the time. Yeah, that's why people meditate, to stay in this state. But there's not a single spiritual leader I can think of in the past, inclusive Buddha and Jesus, who was completely zen all the time. Jesus beat the crap out of the moneylenders in the temple. Why? They were pissing on the holy place. It was diametrically opposed. He was completely flipping out there, obviously. And yeah, he was still a human, so obviously he had emotions, and their values were definitely opposed to everything he believed in. Buddha's own cousin tried to kill him repeatedly, and yeah, there's different interpretations to this, but the point is they fought. And Buddha fought all kinds of, if he had been so spiritual and zen, he would just sat there totally relaxed and loving and would have let this thing kill him, you know what I mean? It's sometimes stupid not to fight in extreme situations, and also it's also very stupid not to fight, even if it doesn't concern you, but it's obviously a very unjust situation. So you can be an angel with wings and have claws if necessary, and I encourage people to not think that they have to be always nice and bearing, because if you're always nice and bearing, evil grows, I just read, what was this quote? If you bear evil, it will grow, or something like this. Or if good bears evil, it will grow, something like that I read recently, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly it, But that's it.
But if you are not nice, evil grows.
Not really. If it's a reaction and it's temporary, no. But of course I agree. That's what they said. Kali, this Indian goddess, she's always depicted as this demon, which she wasn't actually. She was a really beautiful goddess, but she fought demons, and at some point she couldn't. She almost became the enemy, and then it took her husband in some Shiva form or something to actually. She almost killed him. In the end, he kind of managed to convince her and bring her back to the good side again. Yes, there is a danger. There's always a danger. There's also a danger of you losing your soul if you have to be in an environment that is just not very counterproductive. Sometimes you can get out of this environment, sometimes you can't, because it's the only thing that exists for living this talent, like fake music industry, okay, for example. But essentially, but we have our emotions to work with them, to use them and to live with them. And if we encounter something negative and destructive, it would be stupid from a society point of view, because to live together requires a certain amount of peace. And if there's people there who constantly destroy and ruin lives, I personally prefer peace, and I prefer that these people weren't there, and I spend a lot of time thinking, because I'm very interested in psychopathology, like the real one, not the real one, meaning serial killers and stuff. And I'm thinking about the psychopaths that don't kill, and serial killers a lot, and I'm thinking about solutions to this problem that don't kill them, or like in the US, death sentence and stuff like that. And we're not getting to that topic now, but I'm thinking about solutions that will also give these people a humane way to live. The problem is just a real psychopath enjoys causing chaos and destruction and pain. They do. Because it's the only thing that gives them thrills. That and some other excessive behavior, and that's a problem. So even if you say like, manage to identify them and fly them out to an island or a whole continent where they could live happily, which they probably wouldn't because they require their opposite. They require the opposite. This darkness needs light. It needs it to prey on it and work with it. But light doesn't really need darkness. We'd just be happy and chill. That's the point, you know. And but yeah.
So it's two positions.
Not
yeah?
really.
Because
more extreme position
good
here.
and evil, according to you, it's relative.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about such extreme situations. For example, if you see a rapist, for example, you are not going to say, oh no, maybe he's not that bad. Like, you know, so I'm not talking about like those kind of situations where there is a clear breach of safety of someone, or someone's, okay, not pride. Again, it's bad, but okay, that could be maybe more relative. But yeah, in those extreme situations, I think it's better to take sides and to be vocal about what side do you stand against or do you stand for, and stand by it.
Okay. And it could be a game, as I faced in Morocco, that when husband was beating his wife, but it was a game to attract tourists and then blame them for violence against his woman. Okay. Christina, what is your opinion? What is your values?
I'm not sure is this the right answer or no, but I want to talk about the balance. So because I think the balance is my values, because I think that balance is most important when all of categories are balanced, like work experience, like family, of course, friends, love, of course, through harmony, tolerance. When all of those things, wellness, goodness, happiness, all of those things are balanced, so the person will be happy. When something of those categories are not so good, is not like maybe family, like when you don't communicate with your families, so you will not be so happy in other categories. It's not a balance, like. So of course I think all of these categories have to be balanced, and after this you will be happy. This is my value.
Great. And my last question to you, why are you in black today, all of you?
That was me. It's
Yeah.
my
your idea.
But
so
also it's
can you
personally my
explain?
favorite color too, so I don't mind.
Yeah.
It brings out the masks. I mean, really, in its case, and I just I'm an aesthete, so I prefer colors to match, and I just thought black is the easiest to pair it with, especially since we didn't know how the girls were gonna make the masks. I mean, Klavas I knew, but we didn't know exactly. Christina made her mask two hours before this shooting, so we didn't know exactly which color she would choose. And I just figured, me being mostly in black anyways, with bright colors, then it just would be more aesthetically pleasing, because I always try to make at least, I know it looks weird, some of the masks, but I try to still bring in some, no, I don't make yours, like, just generally speaking, also my costumes. I just try to, also in my case, of course, the dark, the black, in many of my costumes, not in all, is because the Anima is an archetype at the edge of unconcrete and concrete. And when a shadow becomes form, a shadow is black. And then out from the black can come the colors, can even come white. So I will have a white costume for this Europe project, but this serves a different function. As the Anima, I have to be black, and then of course it was logical to try to, I really wanted the girls to choose their own colors and their own make and everything within given limits, but I also try to make it look similar. And to be honest, all of my ideas have always been by me and the band members that I wanted to have. I wanted it to be like a little bit of an army-like, so you have to have some kind of uniform. Because for me this is work clothes, this is a uniform, this is representing something. And so there needed to be some kind of color match, really. But that idea is gone a long time ago, because you need money for this, you need to be really prepared, you need to spend time preparing, and this was a fairly spontaneous thing. So you can't always have, perfectionism in art is actually really something to aim for, to be honest, because you're free in creating, and why not then create the best possible version. But I understood it would include two people, and I didn't want to force them too much. However, this is my project, so I try to create some color match. Really.
I think perfectionism is a serial killer which kills happiness,
the wrong
love,
idea of perfection, yes.
joy, and a lot of good things. But it was really interesting conversation with the people in black, women in black, and maybe a last question. What is your impressions? Did you learn something new from each other, from yourselves? And what do you feel? How do you feel after this marathon? Christina.
I feel myself very good for now. I'm impressive. Yes, of course, I learned a lot of things from today from Alexandra and Saba, because actually we don't know each other so good. I know Alexandra just maybe about 3 or 4 months, so it was very interesting for me, and I learned something new, of course, for me. And I'm very happy, thank you for this experience for today. It is my first interview, I think so. So yes, thank you. It was interesting.
First and so good, so perfect.
Yes.
Alexandra, you?
I said this before this interview happened. When the two of them are with me, I cannot get angry, I cannot get disbalanced whatsoever, because I feel so good. I get like the two best things, really. I mean, both of them are, it's just that for me I get the two best things that I really need, like this, the heart and the brain. I mean, not to say that not each of them has the other part.
So Christina has no brain and Saba has no heart.
No, but for me, the way I categorize people is according to their core skill. And for you right now, she is really smart. She really surprised me. Like, she had no skills in a certain area that I gave her to do, and within a week or two she caught up, and she was like, that was really shocking for somebody so young. So she's really super smart, but for me she represents a certain thing. Okay, her core ability for me right now, what gives me the most pleasure is that she has this lovingness, this heart. And for Saba, she's very kind as well, and well, it's a different kind of love, but she is very kind. But I personally like her brain the most, because we are so alike in so many things, not in everything. So personality is not exactly the same, but the brain is works in very similar ways apparently, and that so for me it's like I get flushed by the best of the best from both sides, and I'm like, how can you not be chill, you know? I still obviously can think about all kinds of things, but I cannot get angry, and I cannot get it's just always pleasant, really. So yeah, so it's always a treat.
Yeah.
I also learned some things about Christina.
1 minute.
Yes, that
What?
I didn't know. Well, just all kinds of things. I mean, I didn't know that. I'm not surprised that she values balance so much. I learned that she's even more, because she has to focus really a lot in English. I assume that she has even more of a focus on emotions and harmony than I thought before. I mean, obviously we've talked and I know that she values this, but that was very interesting. Of course, I also knew Saba's stance on most things, but I think that she's more a fighter and even more politically able or inclined than I thought before. So that I also learned. So it went deeper in both cases, but to be honest, most of the time I just try to focus on the chill. Because, you know, my age, it's like, you just want to feel good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen so much.
Yeah. Good vibes. Just good vibes you need. Yeah. And Saba?
Okay, so I identify myself as an introvert, and it's like I'm very sure about that, but there are certain topics that I always enjoy, such as, and these are like simple topics, but in normal, you know, sittings you don't really talk about them, like life, goals, what is love, what is kindness, or what is pressure, these simple philosophies around us. So I really enjoyed that. And also I just have a very few friends with whom I would put my thoughts into words, especially my thoughts on such topics. So it also gave me an opportunity to finally take them out, which is not very common for me. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's good, because some people wouldn't enjoy it, so I'm happy to hear that. Because a lot of introverts don't like, in my experience, don't like to talk about, like, extrovert themselves, because for some it's painful, so it's very good to know.
Yeah, I think it would again, then probably it depends upon the topics. Like these topics always fascinate me, so
Okay, that's also good to know, so I know that. So basically, from now on, most of the podcast interviews and everything that I get, you can do, which is cool. Less stress for me, because she expresses herself in such a clear way. It's shocking, really is. It's amazing, actually. I think this needs to be, well, if I could, I'd foster a lot of things, but that's kind of why we started this. But yeah. And no, I mean, no, it's not. I mean, this hurt me now. I mean, like, that's not what I meant. It's the way I see people, you know. Most people have one core skill. A lot of skills, but one strong core skill, and that's not always a permanent thing. But because they're both very young, you know, they're starting somewhere, and they have one core skill now, and that's what I focus on most. I
What is your core skill? Okay,
I don't know.
I'm taking your role now.
I would like to know that.
Okay.
I've always wanted people to analyze me, intelligent people, because a lot of people try to analyze me, they get it all wrong and I get so mad, or I feel hurt or something. But yeah, what do you think is my core skill? I'd really like to know.
I don't know, I just started thinking about it now when you asked, and I wanted to know yours. Maybe he can tell. What do you think is her
What do you
core
think?
skill?
Do I have? I don't think I have one.
I have to think about it. I'm thinking right now.
We all of us have to think about you, and maybe next time we will see each other and give our answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really
And,
curious now, because I've tried to get this answer to this question for many years.
Could it be art, creativity?
Used to be maybe, but not
But
now.
I
not
guess you
anymore.
are Anima, and we know.
Yeah, but the Anima is the soul. That's the core of everyone. Of course, it's my specific soul, yeah. But that's not